to want Baggedmilk. 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 Oh, I smell Baggedmilk. I'm hungry like
Baggedmilk. Yeah! New intro!
You know it's good when it starts with Cheap Trick, right?
It's a work of art.
Yeah, solid
Award-winning.
gold. Solid gold. All right. Is that worse or better? Yeah, I think it's better than the last one.
I think it's better.
Yeah, it might be better. I was hoping it would be worse, but it's better in a good way. All right.
Sell that as an NFT.
Yeah. The Chicago Blackhawks have traded Duncan Keith to the Edmonton Oilers for Caleb Jones and a third-round pick with no salary retained. How does Baggedmilk feel about that trade?
You know what? So I think it's important when we're talking about the trade because everybody reacted very rationally in the city, as you know. I think nobody questions the player the Oilers are bringing in. Duncan Keith, obviously, his resume stands for himself. Everybody knows this guy's going to the Hall of Fame. And the intangibles that he's going to bring into the locker room, all that stuff's good stuff. The problem a lot of people, myself included, had was, listen, you're still paying the guy his full sticker price at 38 years old. Why was there not even a little bit of salary retained? I guess that's the problem. So for me, I don't mind the trade as much as some people did. I think there's going to be some value in having a Hall of Famer on your roster. Mm-hmm. But I think that the trade was expensive. It's a costly bet for the Oilers. They do have cap space this year, but trades like this make it run out pretty quickly. So there's a lot of pressure on Keith to perform well and elevate his game where it hasn't been in the last 2 or 3 years with Chicago. Generally, guys don't usually get better in their late 30s, but you also have to take into account that he played with some very young and raw players over the last couple of years in Chicago. So hopefully his game hasn't completely fallen off, but we're going to see. Ken Holland made a costly bet here in terms of cap space specifically and the opportunity cost that you can no longer use some of that to get other pieces. So
yeah, because it was basically like 2 free agents he just paid for.
Yeah, it's a big bet. This is a big bet on a guy who, if this was 2013, we'd all be planning parades in the streets. But he's on, he's on the back 3 holes of the career now. So
what do you think happened with the salary conversation?
Well, if you take when Ken Holland did his press conference shortly after the trade, he said, well, look, if they wanted, if Chicago was going to retain salary, then the asset cost was going to go up. And
okay,
I think that's a tricky one he had to play. Clearly, he wanted Duncan Keith to come in. Where some Oilers fans get upset was that Keith basically said, I want to play in Edmonton, and they couldn't grind out a better deal. So it's going to be interesting to see. Like I said, it's a big bet to play, but it could pay off nicely if he can bounce back a little bit.
To Grant's comment yesterday, when he did his Grant report on this, he did say we should look at the positives here from the perspective of here's a player, regardless of what his age is, that wants to play in Edmonton. We don't get that very often, right?
Yeah, and there's something to that too. He wants to play in Edmonton. It's because he wants to be closer to his son, and that's in Penticton, which is great. You know, he's like I said, he's won everything you can possibly win when it comes to hockey, and having that experience in the dressing room for a guy like Evan Bouchard will probably be pretty valuable over the next couple of years. But it all depends if he can still play. The numbers over the last few years haven't looked good for Duncan Keith, but like I said, he played with some really young guys. He played with some guys that are probably wouldn't be playing with Duncan Keith, normally speaking. So we'll see if he rebounds. It's an expensive bet, but all we can do now is kind of see how it plays out.
Now, before we get you to respond to this, I will say that I'm happy about this decision by the Ottawa Senators because it gets him off of the TV. But what are your thoughts on the Pierre McGuire thing?
I was like, what year is this? Where are we? I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. I don't really understand what Pierre McGuire is going to bring to the Ottawa Senators, but I'm with you. I did not like him as an analyst on TV, I'm glad that he's going to be off. Just draft coverage. in-game coverage, I didn't like any of it. So the fact that he's off TV is kind of, good news. Thanks,
said,
Ottawa.
like, he's in charge of player development. He did have that creepy ability to know everything about players from their, like, peewee hockey days.
Yeah.
Where they ate before games.
Yeah.
The guy is a wealth of knowledge and over pronunciation of French names, so it'll be he'll be a good fit in Ottawa.
There you go. All right, Baggedmilk, Oilers Nation, thanks for your time, my friend.
Thank you, boys.